Hello everyone, I'm William Kirk with Washington Gun Law, and this is your 2A Week in Review. That's right, this is a weekly recap of all the horrific things that have happened to your inalienable rights, and occasionally we actually get to talk about some good things. Okay, this week's presentation is once again brought to us by our good folks at Gun Butter. Listen, this thing was developed right here in the local area. You know, we're known for kind of building a bunch of aircrafts around here, and a bunch of geeks who are in the aerospace industry actually came up with this. So, hey, these guys are a lot smarter than all of us combined, so that alone should tell you it's a good product. But the truth of the matter is listen, I use this product myself, and I use this product myself for one simple reason. It's the best thing in the market. Listen, this needle notice applicator right here will get this product wherever you need to be. And when it comes time to have to lubricate your long guns and your bolts like that, check out this grease pen right here. It will work like a charm. Here's the best thing. After you use this stuff and it's time to clean your firearm, all you have to do is wipe away all the gun butter and all the gunk comes with it. I'm telling you, it's absolutely the best thing on the market. It is odorless, it is non-toxic, it is biodegradable, and right now you can get this for 10% off. If you just go to gunbutter.com/shop/Washington Gun Law and use the promo code WGL10, you will receive 10% off. For more information, go see my good friends at gunbutter.com. Okay, here's what happened last week with your Second Amendment rights. An Illinois trifecta, that's right. There has been not one, not two, but three separate petitions to the United States Supreme Court challenging Illinois' incredibly unconstitutional assault weapon ban. Harrell v. Raoul, brought to us by our good friends at the Second Amendment Foundation. Barnett v. Raoul, brought to us by our good friends at the Gun Owners of America. And Beavis v. Naperville, brought to us by our good friends at the National Association for Gun Rights. Now, in addition to the obvious need to have these matters brought as soon as humanly possible before the United States Supreme Court, kudos to all of the plaintiffs here who have done an excellent job of kind of trolling the United States Supreme Court, if you would, essentially gaslighting them a little bit to see, hey, listen, are you guys just going to allow all of these lower courts to continue to thumb their nose at you, or are you going to finally do something about it? Let me give you a couple examples. In Beavis v. Naperville, the plaintiffs pointed out what Hawaii had just recently done as follows. Judicial resistance to Bruin reached its apex just last week when the Supreme Court of Hawaii declared open rebellion against the authority of this court in State v. Wilson. In that case, the court upheld a discretionary permitting statute that is flagrantly unconstitutional under Bruin. The court's opinion is notable for its open defiance of this court. And the plaintiffs in Barnett, well, they got their shots in as well. HB 5471 is akin to a law responding to Gideon by stripping defendants of previously recognized rights to counsel. The lower court should have made short work of this act of legislative defiance. This court cannot let stand the Seventh Circuit's approval of Illinois' open defiance of this court's precedents. Indeed, as antithetical as HB 5471 is to the Second Amendment, the Seventh Circuit's cavalier treatment of this court's precedent poses an even broader threat. Listen, we'll go ahead and link up all three petitions down below in the description box so you can geek out for them. And for more information, you can check out this video here or that video there. They will say anything to keep you disarmed. Last week, during oral arguments before the Eighth Circuit, Minnesota Solicitor General Liz Kramer argued the following.
Summary judgment should have been granted in the state's favor on the first prong of the Bruin test, the scope of the right, because plaintiffs have the burden of proof on that prong and came forward with no evidence at all that 18 to 20-year-olds have ever been considered part of the people or the political community.
Boy, you used the term ever there, and I remember the 26th Amendment, the fastest amendment passed in the United States history of the United States, scant 3 months. The Supreme Court has said that amendments amend everything before it several times. What role do you give to the 26th Amendment, which clearly says 18, 21 years old are part of the political community, they're Americans, they're people, they're everything?
Bruin makes pretty clear, Your Honor, that we cannot look at anything, say, past 1900. So if you look at...
Counsel, that doesn't answer my question. My question is simply, what role do you give the 26th Amendment? None? Your answer is none.
My answer is none under the guidance of Bruin. So Bruin says to
Okay, now I've got to
evaluate.
ask you the follow-up. You know what it is. That shocks me. That the 26th Amendment had no consequence. A huge amendment passed in record time. You heard my point. But you think it doesn't affect anything before it?
Not with respect to the Second Amendment.
And so it goes to show you that if you think what the United States government and state governments are willing to put in pleadings to try to keep you disarmed shocks you, you ought to hear what they say about you in court. Now, this case, Worth v. Jacobson, is brought to us by our good friends at the Firearms Policy Coalition. We will put links down below in case you want to show them some love. For more information about this case, check out that video right there. Oregon, apparently ballot measure 114 is not dead, despite the fact that Judge Ratio down in Harney County enjoined perhaps America's most unconstitutional gun law at that time, all the way back right after it was supposed to go into effect, and then ruled, striking this law down in late November of 2023. The state of Oregon now has finally got around to filing its appeal with the Oregon Court of Appeals. Now, as you recall, this ballot measure was passed by the narrowest of margins, would include a pre-purchasing licensing restriction for all Oregon residents, as well as magazine capacity bans. The case is set for oral argument next month. For more information, check out that video right there. There were 2 high-profile shootings in the news, but ever so briefly. Earlier this week at one of Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Houston, a trans mass shooter attempted to commit atrocities inside the church, however, was almost immediately stopped by armed parishioners. Now, once the news learned that this was a trans shooter who had Free Palestine written on their firearm and then was immediately stopped by a couple of good guys with guns, means that the news cycle on this story will end in 3, 2, 1. And then, of course, the other horrific event occurred right at the end of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. However, 2 juveniles now are under arrest for that shooting. That means that yet again, these individuals were unlawfully possessing the firearm at the time that these shootings occurred, because last time I checked, no state allows 17-year-olds to possess handguns. A pandemic of assault weapon bans. We spent way too much time at Washington Gun Law covering all sorts of assault weapon bans that have been dropping all around the nation. It is a pandemic that's so great, perhaps we should think about shutting our country down again. Included in that list of states now attempting more civilian disarmament are New Mexico. However, that bill appears to be stalling out because it was only a 30-day legislative session. Virginia, which has actually already passed its assault weapon ban out of both the House and Senate, and it now heads to Governor Youngkin's desk. A veto is expected, but not assured. Colorado, Pennsylvania, Hawaii, which I was shocked that Hawaii hadn't done this at least 15 years ago, and Minnesota. And Minnesota is going to take the cake for having the worst one of the list, because they have adopted an Illinois model. An Illinois model means that, oh yeah, they will grandfather the firearm in and you can keep it just so long as you register that firearm with your state police department. For more information about this atrocious bill, check out that video right there. Hey, speaking of registrations, have you had a chance to check out California Senate Bill 1160, sponsored by State Senator Anthony Portantino? What does that bill do? Well, that bill would create a gun registry in the state of California. Don't believe me? Here's what the bill reads. This bill would require every firearm in the state, except those specifically exempted, to be annually registered with the department. Now, obviously, Senator Portantino has not read the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986, but hey, when has the state of California ever let the Constitution, the laws, or common sense get in the way of a civilian disarmament measure? Well, that is your 2A week in review. I know many of you are sitting there going, by God, that's nothing but bad news. It was mostly bad news. So you guys need some good news too, right? Well, here's some good news. There are a lot of very worthwhile organizations out there who are fighting like holy hell every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to preserve your inalienable rights. I have had the pleasure of meeting and speaking with many of them as we've gone on this journey together, and maybe you should all think about showing some of them some love, get some skin in the game, and let's start helping win these battles. Thanks again to our sponsor one more time, Gun Butter. Remember, you can get 10% off by going to gunbutter.com/shop/Washington Gun Law and using the promo code WGL10. Until next week, all of you, stay safe.